And good evening, everybody. Coming to you live. Katie, where are we coming in live from today?
Hey everybody, I am here and I am on vacation this week. It is our spring break and we're in Kentucky this week.
Okay.
So glad to be here. We're kind of in northern Kentucky up close to Cincinnati actually. Is where we flew into, and we're here to see the giant arc. So that's what we're doing this week. How's everybody else doing? Glad to see you guys here.
Well, I can tell you from at least
Um,
the Texas side, we're doing okay.
Doing okay. I'm in Texas there. Good, good. Good to see. We have a few people joining us tonight. Yeah, we're gonna go see the giant ark tomorrow that was built to biblical proportions. So we're excited to see that.
That sounds
Um,
awesome.
but I wanted to share, I had um, kind of an idea of something else I wanted to talk about tonight after last week's show where I did kind of a food journal audit for Keith. So if you guys missed that, make sure you go watch it. It was a really, I thought, interesting episode. But if you've ever wondered what is a dietitian looking for whenever she's looking at or he's looking at my food blog, or how does Katie look at food? I think it would be a really helpful episode for everyone. So make sure you go listen to last week's episode if you missed that. But from that, I had the idea of coming up with breaking that down a little bit more. But I think we're going to get into that next week a little bit more since I'm on vacation. I figured it was the perfect time to share more about what does a dietitian eat on vacation. I don't actually really know if you guys think about what a dietitian might eat on vacation. Whenever I say that, what your first reaction might be if you expect me to eat perfectly all the time, if you have any thoughts at all. I don't know. I think most people are so just busy in their own little worlds that, we may not think too much about what other people are doing or not doing. But if you're curious about what a dietitian eats or doesn't eat on vacation, or if you have an upcoming vacation, or if you travel a lot for work and you are wanting to improve your nutrition on that trip, or just a more balanced approach in it, then this episode is going to be a great one for you. So I think, first of all, every person is different. Every trip is different. And so what works for you may be different than what works for me on a trip. So this is just what works for me. As always, type in the comments, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. If you travel a lot, if you don't travel a lot, I've had patients that travel pretty much every week for work. I'm on the low end of travel probably right now in this season of my life. So I am not traveling super often. So it's going to look a little bit different, compared to somebody who's on the road constantly. Type in the comments though how much you guys are traveling. And don't forget to hit like on this show. We really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you know somebody else that is, going on an upcoming trip, make sure you share this episode real quick with them so that they can listen in and join us and ask me questions that they may have, because I can answer questions in the chat as well about eating on a trip. So I don't travel a lot right now. I used to travel quite a lot for work. I have a lot of kids now that are young. They're getting older. And so it's getting easier. We had a very, very old dog that passed away sadly last fall. But before she passed, we didn't travel a lot leading up to that just because she was so sick. So yeah, looks like Eclipse just got back from Florida, ate some fish. I bet it was fresh and awesome. And chips. Okay, like British style fish and chips. Archie Rose says chips are your travel snack of choice. And I think so for me, I try to be intentional about my life. I think whenever my younger sister passed away suddenly, I was talking with my mom about this last night. That's one thing I love about trips is it allows you to connect with family in a deeper way, or reconnect with family in a deeper way that maybe we're not able to do on a day-to-day basis whenever we're all like busy and running in a million different directions. But I try to live my life really intentionally. And I think I started doing that when my younger sister passed away at the age of 21. It just made me really appreciate life and how finite it can be, right? And not to take it for granted. And so with travel, I try to think, first of all, how do I want to feel on this trip that's coming up? Is it a relaxing trip? Do I need to be energized for meetings? Do I need to be energized to keep up with my kids? Is it an indulgent trip? Is it kind of like Erica's saying with her husband? Her husband travels every week, Monday through Friday. So that's going to be like a normal routine trip, right? Or is it a vacation? It's an anniversary trip or, birthday trip or something special and fun. So how do I want to feel? What do I want to get out of this trip? Any specialty items where it's like, man, I've been wanting to eat this dish for a really long time, or it was recommended to a friend to go to this restaurant, or I've heard about this famous restaurant and I'm wanting to go, or the chef and I've been wanting to try it out, or I'm going to Florida and I want to have some fresh fish. Anything like that that's really special. And then also thinking through a few of the situations where I'm going to have the most control and the least control on that trip. Hey, where am I going to have some leeway here to make my own choices? Where are maybe some other people going to be making those food choices for me? Maybe you're traveling with family or friends and they're cooking, or they're choosing the restaurant, or you're not going to have a lot of options. So just trying to think through a little bit of that ahead of time. And I'm not saying you have to like plan every meal out. It can be on the airplane. It can be, for a few minutes. It doesn't have to be super thought out. But just thinking through a few of those things can help you not feel frustrated or regretful, or kind of coming down hard on yourself for anything that you're doing or not doing on your trip. It just is aligned, right, and balanced going into it. So yeah, those are kind of the things I think about ahead of time with my intentions are, how do I want to feel? What do I want to get out of this trip? Are there any specialty foods or restaurants that we're going to? And where do I have the most and least control over the food? So with that being said, I have a couple of examples here. We are in Kentucky. We went to some horse farms a couple of days ago. I was sharing with Kevin. My middle little had a stomach bug yesterday, so I was stuck here at the house with her yesterday. All better, thankfully. No one else seems to have it, so we should be good to go. But the day before we went to visit the horse farms, they had bourbon, right? And we didn't go on any bourbon tours or anything. We have 3 kids with us. There's this local ice cream shop that had bourbon honey ice cream, and it was incredible. incredible. And I had some, and it was amazing. And that was a specialty item that is not something I'm going to have, all the time or have access to all the time. Um, but then in other times, like we are staying in an Airbnb here, so we have a pretty balanced breakfast where we're making sure we're getting some fiber and protein. You guys heard me talk last week about the importance of those things. We did a Walmart delivery order and I got some tea. So I'm drinking some chamomile lavender tea that just helped me kind of unwind at the end of the day. Um, an example of feeling like I didn't have a lot of options or a lot of control was we had a really long travel day on Monday where we were on two different flights. We had to switch planes in Chicago, and there was like no healthy food options anywhere in Chicago. I was like, I really just want like a smoothie. Give me an overpriced smoothie here. There was nothing with that, so I didn't feel like I had a lot of control there, or what I really wanted. But those are just some examples of, prioritizing opportunities to eat well balanced and also prioritizing opportunities to enjoy something that's special. Um, the one thing that I really try to balance every day is keeping in mind, and I think if you guys have been watching this show for a while, you probably know this about me. Balance is important. I think that life is meant to be enjoyed. Nutrition is supposed to amplify your ability to live your life, not increase stress and anxiety. Health is not made or broken in a few days and a few meals, right? It's the consistent patterns that we create day after day after day that are going to create that health or create dysfunction in our body, right? And so just keeping that balance in mind too. But on our trips, every day, I make sure I have some protein. I make sure I have some vegetables somewhere in there and some fruit. Every day, I look for those opportunities. Like we went out to a Mexican food restaurant tonight and they had this awesome dish with chicken and veggies. It's like the casa, I don't remember what it was called, something casa. With chicken and vegetables and rice. And it was great, but yeah, just making sure that you're looking for those opportunities to get those vegetables in with food that still tastes good and is still enjoyable. Making sure we're doing that. Staying hydrated, drinking the herbal tea at night. We did bring like empty refillable water bottles for all of us while we're here. So we're not having to rely on going out and purchasing bottles of water or relying on, finding water somewhere. That's done. We have water to go. I don't know if you guys have kids. I get like this too. But thirsty kids are grumpy kids, right? And I get grumpy when I get thirsty too. So making sure you have some water available for you is going to be really important. And then looking for movement opportunities. So where can you move? Is movement built into your day where you're going to be up walking around to look at different things? Can you go on a walk around the block? Can you walk to go get dessert? Can you, take a stroll along a river or something like that to just get some steps into your day? Can you do some body weight exercises in your hotel room or in your Airbnb where maybe you're doing some lunges or squats or push-ups or something like that just to kind of get in your day? Can you do some stretching? Because I don't know about y'all, but sleeping in a different bed with different pillows, like my neck and back kind of hurt. So doing, some twists and stretches to just kind of stretch everything out can help with that, any muscle pains and stuff. And then, balance within the day. I kind of mentioned this before, but if you have a big brunch, opt for a simpler dinner. If you're going to have dessert, walk to go get it or go on a walk afterwards while you watch the sunset with friends or something like that. For me, it's important for me to have high energy while I'm on a trip, especially when I have kids with me because they're crazy. They got a ton of energy. I don't want to be dragging and feeling tired or bloated or, whatever. So choosing foods that are going to help fuel me and help energize me is really important. We're actually going to talk about that next week. Here's a little teaser for you guys. About how energy is made, what nutrients your body actually needs to create energy in your body and how that process works and what that looks like. Give you all a little glimpse into that kind of biochemistry and physiology a bit. Um, so yeah, so keeping energy up is important. Um, and then focusing on experiences and not necessarily food rules, I think, goes back to what do I want to get out of this trip, Um, is there local cuisine? Can I share a plate with a family member and enjoy that meal together? The social aspect of travel, if you're traveling with family or friends, is a huge opportunity to connect with others that we don't always have, in the day to day of our busy lives. And so, that's something we've talked about before with like the blue zones, right? Which are the parts of our world where people, they have them, I think it's like the highest population of people living over 100 years old. And like they're all different cultures, they're eating all different things. And one thing that they all have in common as a common thread is a sense of purpose and a sense of community. So they're surrounded with people who love them, who care about them, they're valued members of society. And so, that vacation aspect of being with others, being in community, enjoying food together is so, so good for us. And that's not something that as Americans we always get. So yeah, I've seen a lot of comments. So let me go back here. Erica, you have thunderstorms coming, and I hope that you stay connected as well. We've had rain here in Kentucky as well. You said you cook his breakfast and lunches every Sunday, and then you have dinner out. Man, I hope he is so grateful to have you. That's awesome. Hotel fridge only holds so much. It's tricky, but it can be done. I agree. It's tricky to eat on a trip. We have our little routines at home pretty well hammered out. But like I mentioned, we were in the Chicago airport, and I was like, man, there's like nothing that I would choose to eat. Like nothing sounds like it would be like amazingly good. There's not really anything healthy here that I feel like would support my energy levels and help me feel really good. It can be really challenging. So trying to plan ahead like you're doing for your husband is awesome.
It sure
Snacking
is.
on
I
some.
was reading that and I could only imagine, just imagine someone preparing meals for me. That's got to be
I
awesome.
know.
He's the
That's such an
luckiest.
act of love. That's
It is.
awesome.
Absolutely. Kudos to
That's
you,
an act
Erica.
of love. Yeah. Um, Snacking on raisins and you like Chex Mix. My aunt makes the best Chex Mix. She used to send us a big tub at Christmas. It was like my husband would eat it all really fast though. It was like one of our favorite things about Christmas. The nice thing about eating at the airport is eventually you run out of money. It's true, it's so expensive, you guys. How much was a bottle of water? I think it was like $5 or something for a bottle of water. It's crazy. Vacation or holidays, he gives himself a few things or meals and then back to clean eating. Yeah, he doesn't deprive himself because this man lives to eat. I love that. I kind of do the same thing with myself. I will eat the things I really enjoy and I don't deprive myself at all. But, eating whole nutrient dense foods most of the time is really important with our family. I mentioned this before too, but my kids are kind of the same way where, if they eat more than a couple of meals, like, a lot of processed stuff or takeout, they start complaining about not feeling very good and they'll choose different foods too. Kids just know more intuitively, they're more in tune with their bodies to balance all of that. Really can sit and eat a meal either. Oh, you snack a ton too. Okay. Hotel pillows are the total worst. Oh my gosh. Um, you're Italian, so food is your love language. Oh, Erica, I love that. But yeah, no. What questions do you guys have about vacation? I don't have like a ton, but is this groundbreaking information for you guys? I don't think it's like super groundbreaking information. Um, but I think setting those intentions was one of the biggest lessons learned for me when traveling, so I didn't regret things or I didn't feel disappointed or frustrated at the end of the trip with how I felt or the choices I'd made or anything. But just like kind of going into it and asking like, hey, what do I want out of this trip? What are the foods or the places that I really want to make sure I enjoy? And then where are the opportunities to eat, more in a way that just supports my health and my energy levels and all of that. Do you guys do that whenever you travel? And do y'all kind of think through all of that ahead of time too?
If I'm only answering for me, I think you're giving me good dating advice as well. I think I'd
Yeah.
want to take a small road trip just to see what she plans for us to eat along the way.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, little would she
That's
know, it's
funny.
a real test.
Yeah, yeah, it is for sure. And I don't know, being able to travel with somebody or not traveling with somebody, I feel like that's a relationship maker or breaker. High
True.
stakes
All in
environment,
itself.
right?
Oh, yeah.
High stakes environment for sure. Um, okay, let's see. I don't know, Kevin, what other questions do you think people need? Oh, I have a question for you guys too in the comments, if y'all want to comment. What is the best food you've ever had on vacation? I'll tell you guys my food in a minute. The best food I've ever eaten on a vacation. And then also, if you want to share, do you think it's easier or more difficult to eat in a way that nourishes your body on vacation? Do you normally feel better or worse on vacation?
I'm just going to answer for me. What is the okay, so the best thing I think I've had on vacation, I didn't even leave the state. And so the job was out of the state, but the best thing I had was right here just outside the city. A Bucky's, what do you call it, brisket sandwich. Oh man.
Really?
Oh
That was the best
man.
food you've ever had?
I wouldn't say the best food I've ever had, but it was one of the best
Okay.
meals that I had on that vacation for sure. I mean, I had some really good stuff while I was gone, sitting at restaurants and whatnots, but the size of that sandwich at Bucky's was unbelievable. So I'd say price per pound and for purpose, yeah, hands down, that was great.
That's hilarious. Okay. Okay. We need to raise your food, like bougie level of food, Kevin.
We'll start a series.
Yeah. Yeah. Erica, you said that yeah, it's harder to pick what foods you can travel with. It's unhealthy the way other guys eat. Yeah, like I said, I've had some patients that travel a lot for work and it's a challenge, for sure. And they're kind of stuck in that same cycle of eating out. And then there's like the peer pressure of coworkers eating out every meal. So um yeah, so I think what you're doing for him is awesome. Eclipse, tell me about these waffles. And Lugnut says fresh shrimp at Myrtle Beach. I bet those were really good. Fun fact about me, I hate shrimp. I can't stand the texture. It's like I'm a weird texture person. Shrimp, mushrooms, olives, unless they're like a certain kind of olive, I have a hard time with. And they're all healthy for you. So that's tough. Tell me about the waffles. Um, I don't know. Bucky's is awesome.
We've got a supporter in the
Waffles
house.
stacked, waffles stacked with fruit from this hole in the wall in Peru. Ooh, I want to
That
go
does
to
sound
Peru
pretty
now.
good. Yeah.
And then Lugnet had lobster in Massachusetts and you weren't impressed. I wonder if it was the lobster or like the restaurant where it was prepared.
He was comparing it to
I was
Bucky's.
I was telling my family at dinner, I think, well, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been on one trip, so I can't fully remember. We went to France for our honeymoon, and I remembered the food being incredible. But more recently, we went to Mexico a few years ago, I think in 2023, and there was this little oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on what it's called now. Tostada shop. It was like a tiny little tostada shop. And I had a jicama tostada. And it was like, instead of a tortilla, it was a slice of jicama. And then they had like cucumber and watermelon, and maybe some peppers and cilantro, and like pico de gallo type stuff on top of it. And it was the most refreshing, delicious thing I'd ever had in my life. And I like jicama a lot, but this was really like top line good. Well, okay, you guys, if y'all are ever doubtful of the power of nutrition, look at what Erica said her husband was able to accomplish. I'm going to share this. Okay. He has high cholesterol and blood pressure and triglycerides. He started this a year and a half ago. He dropped his triglycerides by 390 points
That's
by
huge.
changing what he was eating 2/3 of the time. That's
Wow.
amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Erica. That's really inspiring for people who are maybe wanting to make some changes to their nutrition. Pizza is your all-time favorite food ever. You eat it every day. That's awesome. Well, good. Well, I am going to go back to vacationing. I think we're going to wrap it all up here. But just wanted to remind you guys, nutrition should support your life. It should help you feel more energized. It should help you enjoy life more, increase the enjoyment of your life. It should not add stress and anxiety. It's not about perfection. Health cannot be made or broken in a day. Um, it's not the other way around where, we have to do it all perfectly all of the time here, right, Kevin? So that's where we're going to wrap that up. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys all next week. I'm going to dig more into the nuances of energy creation and all of that. So make sure you join us then next Wednesday at 7 Central.